My Gavanen Manin, and well met indeed. My name is FrozenStag and welcome as we celebrate the 10-year anniversary of this channel. I figured I would do a video for this, even though these videos don't particularly get many views. I wanted to do a video anyway, just to say thank you for sticking with me for 10 years. And just a general sort of thank you for, supporting the channel and everything like that. And in this video I thought there's some background stuff of some Vince Wet music in the background, and also some gameplay of me messing around the Minecraft server, and also some gameplay of a brief little Rhaegar Targaryen run as on CK2 Game of Thrones, which is it's midway because I'm starting because I didn't think about recording until like halfway after I won the rebellion, and I was like, actually, while we're doing these independence wars with the various Lord Paramounts that rebelled against Rhaegar, I figured I'd record it. And the same with the Minecraft thing, I just didn't really think about it until I thought, oh, I'm going to this forest temple, let's record it. And that's what I ended up doing. But yeah, hope you enjoy those little bits in the background. It's better than me staring at a desktop and talking for hopefully half an hour. But I will announce all some series and stuff that is coming to the channel as a celebration, because I'm planning to relaunch the channel not really ahead, but like after the 10-year anniversary, or alongside the other current campaigns, which is the Woodland Realm and the re-upload Brazil campaign, which will continue on for a bit. But yeah, I'll go through some basic general history of the channel, just point out the fact that it's been 10 years, which is bananas. This channel was created, I guess, on the 8th of September 2015. I didn't upload the first video until the 3rd of September of November. 3rd of September of no, it makes no sense. The 3rd, that's what I get for recording this literally at like 11 o'clock in the evening. Now, I'm recording this at 11 o'clock in the evening. Some backstory behind that is because in about 45 minutes I will turn 24. So tomorrow's my birthday, and I haven't really had the time to record. I was going to record this like early in the week, but I just was... to tell you the truth, I was addicted to playing Minecraft, and that probably contributed to why I ended up taking so long to do this video. But anyway, here we are, better late than never, and here we go. So yeah, I'm going to be 24 in about 44 minutes now, so that is pretty interesting. By the time you're watching this, this will be up on the 3rd of November, to be exact, for the exact 10-year anniversary. But yes, I first uploaded a video in the 3rd of November of 2015. I only recently turned 14, and I started up. My first video I uploaded was the Crusader Kings 2, nice and original. It was called the World Domination Series as House Allen, which is my last name, and I had a whole massive backstory behind that surname that I created for myself back in for Game of Thrones, and the story that I still technically use now, if I ever use that idea ever again, which I'm likely to do in the future. And that was the first episode of that series. That series did go on. I mean, it wasn't really a world domination towards the end. I did do a world domination in the Plantagenet run, but in this, it didn't end up that way. I think I just got bored halfway. I was like, yeah, I can't be arsed. I've taken this part. I'm done. Which is what happens in CK2. You get a sense of fatigue once you've set yourself a goal of let's do this, and then you end up like sometimes it happens, but when you get to always a point with CK2 where you've done that idea, or you've got so far and you're like, I'm done. I'm done. I've done my bit. But anyway, so yeah, that's when this channel, this series and channel began. Now, when I first started YouTube, I went with the name with TGA Gaming, because I think it was a popular trend, I think, back then to have the three initials, or just initials, and then have like gaming or like some sort of thing after it. And I went with TGA Gaming, and that was like my foray into YouTube. With that name. Now, obviously, as you're probably well aware, that's no longer the case. I don't go by that name anymore, and even in the old videos, you'll hear me refer to myself as TJ Gaming. But obviously now that's changed, and I've gone by the name of FrozenStag, and I changed that name in about 2019, around then I think roughly, when I decided to come back to YouTube after a break from 2017 to 2019. Basically, I just got bored of it, and the channel wasn't really going anywhere. We had like 70 subscribers, and some of the videos were decently viewed, but I just didn't really think the channel was going anywhere, so I just gave it up, and I moved on to other things until about 2019, where I thought, actually, do you know what? Let's give it another shot, and it did work pretty well, and we've been like that for the last, well, I say it was around August 2019, so about 5.5 years the channel's been running. And we've done pretty well. I mean, I'm pretty proud of the 2,000 subscribers, the 2,400 subscribers we've got. And it's not a lot. Like, if you look at some people's, like, journey from 5 years, like, it's not a lot compared to people that have been doing this, that have maybe done YouTube for 5 years. But we've done our best. I've done my best, and at the end of the day, this isn't a job, this isn't a full-time job. It was always, even from the start, it was always a hobby, and maybe part of me, in the back of my mind, thought, oh, well, this could be a job. My naivete, I think, spoke volumes back then, and as it's pretty apparent that I'm 24, the YouTube has not become a career for me. My career is as a jeweler. And at the moment, anyway, unless that changes, but at the moment, I don't plan for it to change. But that's my current job. It doesn't pay amazing amounts of money, but it's a job, and I'll take it. I'll take what we can get, especially in this time period, I guess. Is this time age? I was gonna say no, that's not right. Okay. So yeah, YouTube's definitely not a job, but even now, when I plan to relaunch the channel, because in 10 years' time, I would like the channel to be, a little bit more than what it is now, if you know what I mean. Like, I mean, that's, basic ambition for you, I guess. So that's my plan. I'm gonna relaunch the channel, and I'm gonna make, I'm gonna say it, I'm gonna make my channel great again. Oh dear. But yeah, so this channel started off as TJ Gaming. It changed to FrozenStag in 2019. And I'm sure I've explained it many times, but for the benefit of those watching that are new, FrozenStag basically means, it means exactly what it says. Frozen is literally frozen, and then ice cold theme, and then stag being obviously my one of my favorite animals. And there's also there's like a meaning behind it. Frozen is a nod to myself. Like, I prefer generally the cold weather. I prefer the cold. This is a very odd way of explaining it, but I prefer the cold because whenever you're cold, you can just put a jumper on or put the heating on, or go sit by a fire or just something like that. Whereas when you're hot, there's nothing you can do about it. You're just too warm. And especially in the UK, because we don't have air conditioning, because that may change, but at the moment it certainly won't. But the UK obviously suffers from heat because we don't have any air conditioning, unless you go into like an office block and where you invest in it, of course, a bit more there. But in your own houses, generally it's very hot because you don't have air conditioning, and all your houses have been built since the last however many years. Have all been built to keep the heat in, and unfortunately, that's just the annoying thing about living in the UK, is that when it's hotter than you think. I was talking to someone from my work colleague who came over from another store to help cover, and she actually lives in India. And even though they have like 40 to 50 degree heat, she was saying to me, I've had the heat in this country, and I can tell you it's worse than in India when it's like 40 to 50 degrees, and that's nuts. The whole country goes into almost shutdown when we get to 30 degrees. So the fact that even in India, she actually preferred the heat there than here, which is that just speaks volumes, doesn't it, really? But anyway, so I prefer the cold, and that's where the sort of Frozen went. Stag has kind of been like a big emblem of my family for years. We've always had there's always been like a stag motif, I think, since probably my grandpa, I think, roughly. And I've gone with the motif. I like the white stag. I love the color of a white stag is just really cool. In fact, my channel banner, and I wish I would do a white stag instead of a black stag, and the reason it's black is because the black shows, the white you wouldn't be able to see it, so that's why it's a black stag instead of a white on the channel banner. I did contemplate changing the banner, and the I guess the profile picture, I suppose you would call it, but I didn't in the end. I thought, it's fine. I don't need to change it yet. Maybe unless some really talented editor or graphic designer wants to come along and make one for me, then maybe. But for now, it's fine. It does the job. I think FrozenStag, when I look at the channel homepage now, it comes up with like FrozenStag on the banner, FrozenStag on the actual name, and then FrozenStag at FrozenStag is like my YouTube handle, and then there's also my bio, which is now part of the screen. There's no like about page anymore. My name is FrozenStag, and it's pretty damn obvious that my name is FrozenStag of all the three different like things. And even when you go to my Discord, it Frozen Order. So like at the moment anyway, because I changed up the theme probably every 2 months. I usually did it every month, but every month is just a bit of a... every month just comes around too quickly. I'm like, oh god, I got to change it again. So I just stick with the... I stick with it once every 2 months probably, and or whenever I can be asked to change it. If I'm busy, like on holiday, I'm like probably won't get around to it. So I maybe not in the moment, but I might in the future change the banner to just be not say my name again. But you know, who knows? And then my profile picture is obviously something I made myself. I found the white stag. I can't remember where I found it. I found the white stag on an image somewhere on Google. And well, actually, it was a black stag, and I coloured it white, and I put the eyes as blue. It's like a nod to like a White Walker or like an ice dragon or something like that. And also in the background as well, if you look very closely. Now it's not intended to look. Well, when you look at it, you wouldn't notice it at all. But actually, if you look closely, you can see the background image is actually of the White Walker castle, like fortress we saw in, I can't remember what episode it was in season 4 of Game of Thrones, but it was at season 4 of Game of Thrones. It was at the end where the White Walker was carrying that baby off to be turned to a White Walker or something like that. We never heard anything more about that, so who knows? Maybe it's some other White Walker that Jon killed or something. Who knows? Anyway, but yeah, that's the background image for those wondering. And then you'll see where the stag bit is, where the antlers go out. You can see the Lord of the Rings. The Elvish script that also belongs to the One Ring is like a nice little picture there, which I thought looks nice, a nice little addition. Whenever I look at that, I always think it's kind of like, I'm sure it's not quite in the right place, but I mean, it's me just being OTD, who cares? It's probably fine. But yeah, so this channel started back then, and of course, it had quite a few different eras. In fact, if you look at my channel homepage, you'll see I'm going to have to quickly go to my homepage and just quickly turn this off. There you go. There's a couple periods of channel that I kind of refer to when I think back, and I put them into like little playlists so you can actually go back and watch them all. Now I intend from the 10-year anniversary to basically remaster and remaster, not re-upload, remaster, and also sort of bring a lot of campaign stuff to the channel that have been voted for in the past, have been suggested, and I've just basically made like a massive list, and I'm going to get you all to vote for them, and then that will be like the last, probably the big vote I will do for like YouTube and stuff like campaigns, and I'll explain why in a bit. But the way I break down the channel is by ancient periods, so 2015 to 2017. Where I started, obviously, you know, you have like the House Allen series I started, the 2 random episodes I made of Slender, the Westeros Total War House Tully campaign, the first ever Total War campaign I made, a little mess around series with GTA 5 that I did with myself, and also I had a few friends in the background that used to come home. I remember used to come around after school and we'd record an episode together, and I think I did an episode of that with Slender, I'm sure, as well, with a few friends. Which is, unfortunately now I don't really see much of those friends. It was back in school, and I keep in touch with obviously like the main friends, but those particular friends never really kept in touch with. I'm more friends with the people that never really gained with me much back then. They do now, but obviously I don't really play any games that they play, so there you go. Mount and Blade Clash of Kings, the first little foray of that I did with Rain, Land of Rain. The Stag Workshop, which is when I used to put a bit more effort into my thumbnails, I still do, but I don't go around and do all the like little erasing of all like the little background. I just sort of use a tool now that removes the background for me, so that eliminates the need to do it manually, which used to take a while. And I used to make a video out of it because of how long it took me. I thought, oh well, I may as well record this and make it like a little time lapse, and that's what I did. It was interesting. Well, I did Westeros Total War Targaryen and Greyjoy, where I played the 2 factions together. The Winter Dragon, as I titled it, which was a bitter still playthrough as a descendant of the dynasty who lived over in the north, and I can't remember the backstory of that. Just have to go rewatch it. A little brief Napoleon series I did with France, which was a bit crap, but it happened. GTA 5 Online series, which had about 53 episodes. In fact, I'm pretty sure that is the most, back then anyway, it was the longest series I did, with 53 episodes of me just playing GTA Online. And I'm sure as well, some of these are 10 minutes. Yeah, some of these used to be 10 minutes, some of these are 20 minutes. In fact, there was a time I did do 10-minute episodes. I think I was trying to like fight the algorithm or do something though. Then we had the Rise of New Valyria, which is where I played as a Valyris. and invaded, basically did what Orin Verazi's now can do in CK2, but back then I had to do it manually. Via the custom character. The Saxon series I did with Medieval 2 with a mod that made them playable. Another sort of hot seat thing I did where I just control 2 factions with Greyjoy and Gardener. House Capet before CK2. A Sun Stark series, which was meant to be like a canon branch of the Starks, and I had like a backstory behind that. A brief little Oblivion series that I did, which didn't really have a great ending, because I just didn't really enjoy Oblivion that much. Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, yeah, that was fun. As Tyrannus the Warbear. A Gmod series, that's Gmod series, that's hilarious. Westeros Total War again reappeared with Winter for House Stark, and I did another one with Targaryen. In fact, the Winter Stark series was a very old mod that I can't even find it now. And I have in my computer a bunch of mods for ancient mods that can't be downloaded anymore. So one day in the future, I probably will do something about that and make them all able to be played by everyone. I did a couple montages, which was just like 10-15 second clips of me just whooping people's asses. Basically, I cut out all the bits where I died. Counter-Strike Global Offensive series with 2 episodes, which was just a very minor series that was. Bolton series for Game of Thrones, War of Conquest, Lannister's campaign for Westeros Total War. I did a 5-episode series as the White Company during the, well, I called it the Crusader Sea, the Reaper's Due, because the DLC had come out at that point, and I jumped in sort of the hype there, which I don't know if that really did much, but I did anyway. And we played as a mercenary company using the Mercenary Kings mod, which was interesting. One of those, that particular thing I probably won't remaster because it's such a, I didn't really pick a house, I just sort of played as the mercenary company, but I don't know if that mod is even a thing anymore nowadays. And I also did a random bit because I was inspired by a gentleman called NATO Callow Gaming, if I remember correctly, and he did a bunch of like custom nation world building things where you just make random worlds with the custom nation creator that you could do in Europa Universalis 4. And I did that as well. I did bring that back about 4 years ago, like for 3 separate videos, and I did a time lapse as well, but that's that's a very minor. I think it was 1 by 2 time lapses, yeah. And yeah, it was basically I did a couple like custom nation world buildings with France. What if France had won in the Napoleonic Wars? If Austria had won the 7 Years' War? If the USA had joined with the Central Powers and won World War One? Religions of the modern day, which is probably very much changed, but the religions of 2017, I think it was. Kaiserreich time lapse for Hearts of Iron 4, which actually got this probably one of the ones that got the most views, 700 views for a time lapse. Which, for a bit of backstory, I won't do the time lapses ever again because it just takes up so much time. I can't remember exactly, but I remember leaving that on my computer for about a day, and we were still going through things, and it was just like, oh, it's very, yeah. I don't think I'll be doing a time lapse again. It just takes up a whole day of what I could be doing something. I did a few like for the Medieval Kingdoms 12 AD mod because that had got the most views on all my overview videos, and I did an Empire Total War one as well, and for Custom Nation world building. But that ends that period. That is the period from 2015 to 2017, and then I stopped doing it, and then came back in 2019. I came back with a Dane series for Game of Thrones, CK2. I came back and did a Losten campaign. Obviously, there are quite a few character-based series in the end. Some of them were, I think the first one I did was titled as a Targaryen dynasty, but I got annoying, and this is the one of those really old things that used to happen in CK2, where you would get to a certain point in the date of the game, and you couldn't go past that date without the game constantly crashing. And it was really annoying, because I played as one character, and that's why I call it a character-based series. I played as one character, and then I couldn't, when he died, I couldn't then become play as his son for much longer. And, you know, I had some plans for that, and I sadly couldn't do them. But I've done a few character-based series over the last 5 years. That was one. I did one 2 years ago with Aegon the Conqueror, and I just stopped doing that for whatever reason. I did one as Jon Snow, and then Jon Targaryen, and I did a 2-part series as Young Griff, Aegon the Sixth Targaryen, where it was one was called, and funny enough, the videos both have the exact same amount of views, which is really odd. I just noticed that. But yeah, so one of them was called Young Griff, and the other was called King Griff. So that's that when I did the character-based series. I did a Skyrim series, I brought that back. And that was just eventually I ended that because of lack of views, sadly, which was well, I had like 100 subscribers, so like not many people were really watching, and most of the subscribers I imagine would have came in for CK2, Game of Thrones, and maybe some other bits as well. But yeah, it wasn't really a popular series, but maybe one day in the future it might be. But that's when I kind of like views were more important to me back then, but not necessarily now. I'm still fighting with the algorithm to make the Brazil and Woodland Realm videos get more and more views, but it's just a losing battle. Then we did the Westeros Total House Bolton series with the Bannerlord campaign when that came out as the Sturgeons. I think I called it Grey Iron or something like that, and that got hardly any views. So I renamed it to a Sturgeon campaign, and suddenly, all of a sudden, the views just shot up, and the first episode of that got 1,800 views. And I imagine it was the hype of the new game, and you know everybody and their dog was creating Bannerlord content around that time. That was like 2020. COVID pandemic helped an awful lot in my channel. Not for many people, and not really for myself, considering I did suffer from COVID. I did lose a family member to it as well, and well, my time with certain members of the family were definitely shortened and changed after that, especially with friends. But COVID, I do owe a small part of that success that I gained in 2020 to COVID. Everyone being locked at home, forced to watch YouTube, or just be at home all the time, kind of helped the channel a bit, and I think it helped a lot of content creators. Easy Eye members shot up, I think even Galu, I remember him getting a lot more views, and quite other people, you know, a lot of people just decided suddenly, a lot more content came of it, which is interesting. That makes sense, really. Then I did the Prussia series, where I first got into Lucium Turtle War, the turtle conversion mod for Medieval 2, that turns it to the 18th century, or 1819 for the South America part of the mod. And I was on the development team as well for 2 years until I left, and just lack of interest, really, didn't really have the time, and I was working a full-time job at the time. I am now, to an extent, although it is a part-time contract, but I just do a hell of a lot of overtime, and I'm trained to be a supervisor/manager, so like it's only going to get busier. Which is a thing about life in general. Life will get busier. You'll go from, you know, a part-time job, well, from school to a part-time job, and then eventually you'll have a girlfriend. You know, I've had my fair share of that in the last, like, a year ago. So that wasn't a very fun experience. I wouldn't recommend, but it happened. Life's a journey, I guess, and sometimes that journey is often shrouded in darkness. But yeah, eventually, you know, you're going to have a partner, and eventually you'll have kids, you'll get married, or vice versa, or you'll travel and stuff like that, and eventually, you know, life will get busier and busier. There's no escaping that. The next thing I did for CK2 Game of Thrones was the Aaron Dynasty. Then I did a podcast series, which was basically dedicated to Star Wars mainly as well, which is odd. You would have thought I did Game of Thrones, but I haven't really... There wasn't really much... I didn't have anything good to say about Game of Thrones at that point, especially after the release of Season 8. Dare I say its name. So I did a podcast series, which is a bit of fun. I did a series, another Lucium campaign as Georgia. Did I mention the Lucium campaign? Oh, I didn't actually. Is Prussia, for those wondering, which was the German Empire, or would have been the German Empire in about 1870. But after they formed the North Confederation, then went on to form Germany. You got the Kingdom of Georgia. Also, the Total Cycle Troy appeared, and I thought, oh, I'll jump on the hype of that. I was really keen to try and really give it a go back then. I definitely, when I came back to YouTube in 2019, I gave it everything. I would say more about 2020 when I had the time. I thought, right, you know what, I've got loads of time. Let's just do this. And I wasn't working for, like, I think a good chunk of that year. Well, I got about, must be about February, March time, where I think I was made redundant. Not redundant, but I was on furlough for like 6 months, I think. And college had ended, and I was doing like I think 2 online classes a week, and I think that was like an hour each, I think, and that was like barely any amount of time, and then that eventually stopped. And yeah, basically I didn't do anything. I had universal credit, and that was being paid me, which is like a scheme. The government pays you money if you're not working, stuff like that, to support yourself and stuff. Especially if you're like in a state of unemployment. And eventually I did get a job in April. Was it April 20? Yeah, the end of April 2021, which was rather handy. When unfortunately that job didn't last long, as it was a government scheme for 6 months, and my contract ended. There was some hope that my job would have continued past those 6 months, but sadly the company had not made enough money which is a shame, but there you go. And I went on to work at Legoland, which is a story in itself, and that you can probably tell from this. The next period of the channel was you know, where my time had dropped off the face of the earth because I was working so much. And in that place, good God, Legoland as a child, I loved Legoland, but as an adult working there, good God, I would not recommend it. They also do not treat their staff very well, so that is one thing I will say. Some of you may disagree, maybe you might have had a better experience than me, but unfortunately, it was just generally, it just wasn't very nice. I wouldn't recommend. And I did the Paris of Troy campaign. I did the Plantagenet Dynasty series for CK2. The Paris of Troy was for Troy, obviously. I did I started doing a bunch of series of multiplayer and single players. Some of this I did start back in 9 years, well, nearly 10 years now. I sort of brought them back about 5 years ago and did the odd light battle here and there. I was going to do like a scenario battle series, but I sort of didn't get around to it. That's about a year ago now. I sort of just stopped doing that. I did a few like free battles on off. There's a couple of replays that were sent to me that I did a few videos on. That was yeah, that was that was that really. I'll probably do that again because I just don't really find battles. I do find battles entertaining and interesting for Total War, but obviously I don't really care that much about like custom battles and the odd multiplayer battle. I just don't really care. And then there was a little hot seat co-op series I did with 4 players. We did the expanded alliance, not expanded alliance, the expanded Americas as the Holy Alliance, where I played the Teutonic Order. A friend of mine, who was the lead developer and still is of Lucium Total War, played the Papal States. A good friend of mine, Mythic/Idron, who also made his return to YouTube not too long ago, was playing as the was it Antioch, I think, if I remember correctly. And I think we had another guy called Idron, a good friend of mine now. Haven't heard of him in years. I'm hoping he'll join the Minecraft thing at some point. But he plays Jerusalem, if I remember correctly. But that only had 3 parts, sadly. And because there were 4 of us, you know, as you can imagine, there were some production issues. There was another co-op series I did with actually Captain Turtle Waffle at the time, back when he was sort of starting off on YouTube. And I remember, and he's done really well now. Like, if you haven't watched his videos, it's good fun. He does a lot of work, does a lot of sort of, doesn't really stick to alliances much, I've noticed, but I remember there was a time when I was doing a Georgia campaign. This may feel like I'm going from series to series to series, but I'm trying to get through on a reasonable timescale without this being too long. And Georgia, I remember playing the Georgia campaign, and everybody seemed to have played a Georgia campaign. When I was playing as Georgia, Captain Turtle Waffle played as Georgia, Lord Levin played as Georgia, and in fairness to Lord Levin, he was Georgian himself, so like, you know, it was likely that he was going to play Georgia as well. But I think some other people played Georgia, and I thought, for goodness sake, so I had to really make that Georgia campaign really unique, and I think I did that a bit as well. But it was I didn't have a proper ending because the bloody game crashed in the end, and that was sad. And I did a developer preview almost of the with the beta of the Bolivar's Revolution, South American submod for Lucium Total War as the Spanish Empire, which is fun. Now I did an Attila co-op series with Idron/Mythic. I say Idron/Mythic because Mythic is his YouTube name, but on Discord he's called Idron, so I can't refer to. There's a bit of an identity crisis. And we did a little co-op series as I played the Province of Crete, and he played as the Corinthian Revolt, and we basically fought the Romans, which was fun. And I did this is my almost like, I think the first single player campaign of something Lord of the Rings related I did. There wasn't obviously the hot seat, and I decided to have a go at the newly released Third Age Total War 4.0 mod as the Dwarfs, and that was a really fun series. And that series I remember getting a lot of views. In fact, if I go to the first episode in a minute. Yeah, 6,600 views. I think that was one of the big series, other than all the CK2 Game of Thrones stuff, that really did quite well. Other than the Matt and Blade thing, but even the Matt and Blade thing got loads of views at the first episode and did for quite a few episodes. But eventually it dropped again. But that series ended because of the game bug, sadly. And I did a Britannia series because I wanted to have a go at the DLC campaigns. I love those. And I did a series of Scotland where I actually conquered the whole world, which I rarely do in Total War, but I did. And mainly because it's such a small map, so it's quite easy to conquer the world, so I did that. And then I did a Teutonic DLC campaign as Denmark, and then eventually I returned as a Kalmar Union with a sort of a new sort of series, but the playlist just has the episodes together, because there's only 3 episodes of Denmark, so I thought I'd just put them together. And there's a DCO Lost Alliance campaign, because that came out around that time roughly, or sometime a little bit later, maybe, was it a year later? I can't remember D-Side came. Was it 2020? I think. Might have been, yeah. And I ended up playing the Men of the Mountains, which was good fun. I did a Fellowship campaign, which is an older series. I've done a recent one since then, which was like last year. So that's a good series, even though I probably won't remaster the Fellowship campaign, just for those wondering. I did it once already, and I don't really plan to in the future. And I did a lot of voting videos, which I probably won't bother with voting videos. I did contemplate possibly doing one for the Empire series that I'm doing, or planning to. Well, that's going to change, but I'll talk about that in a bit. But I won't do voting videos because they just don't really get that many views. Now, some of them do. I'm not going to say they all do terribly. And there's a couple of highlights that I've done reasonably well. There was a hot seat mod vote I did that's got about just under 300 views. There was a Dynasty vote for CK2 Game of Thrones, got 200 views, 343 views for the Dynasty vote for a Wizarding World series, which is interesting, very unique at the time. One of the Hearts of Iron 4-1, which is a surprise, got 281 views. 340 views here and there for that one. But I think the issue as well, but the most recent one I did was the Warhammer 3 one, and that got 117, very measly there. There was even one Middle-earth Project one that got 94 views, and I thought, well, it was under 100, there's no real point. Also, the last Empire Turtle War faction vote only got about 94 views just over a year ago now. I thought, it's probably not really worth my time in it. I think it is worth your time if it's like a quick couple 5-minute, 10-minute video just explaining about the poll. But in this day and age, the community tab poll was just fine. It's worked perfectly for the Empire series. That literally, I put that up, well, I put it up like 5 days ago now, and that got 103 votes, and then the next poll part got 120, third bid got 111, and then the final one's still going now, but it's a bit of a tie between the Polish and the US right now, although I think I will probably go for the US, as I'm going to go for even though it's quite close, I'm going to go with the one I want to play the most, and that is the US, but I will do that in a different way, and again, I'll tell you later. So that ends what I refer to as the Middle Ages period, from 2019 to 2021. And now we come on to the more recent period of what I refer to as the early modern period. Obviously now, right now, is what I refer to as the current period, as in the present day, modern day period. Which is a bit of a mouthful, but anyway. But yes, this is when I sort of did a lot more Game of Thrones stuff. I was trying to branch out. There was a lot of series that I did around that stage where I'm pretty sure I deleted because I didn't have a proper ending. Because I actually had COVID during, I think, one of the... Oh, I had COVID. Oh, my monitor just turned off there. I think it does that now and again. I think it's just I'm not sure why it does that. I need to find out why, but I just haven't got around to it yet. It doesn't seem to affect much. Anyway. Maybe I need to plug a cable in a bit more. But anyway, so yeah, I had COVID for like 2 weeks in 2022. And I remember having those 2 weeks and thinking, well, I felt crap, but I didn't feel bad enough that I couldn't not record videos. So I thought, well, do you know what? Let's do it. Let's just bang out a bunch of videos. And I did. While I was ill, I thought, well, this is the perfect timing to do some videos. Because I was like, well, the channel's been let down lately. So let's just, give it my all. Because with that job that I started in at Legoland was incredibly tiring and exhausting. I had very less amount of time, especially back then. In fact, I think there was 2 campaigns that I started in 2022. Maybe there was no other ones, can't really remember now. But there were 2 campaigns that I started, and I think it took me like another couple of months till I got around to doing some more. That I think the Third Age Free Peoples one, the Free Peoples, that was another like August. I think that was when I had COVID. And I remember one of the videos is literally me going, I don't feel the best at the moment. And then the next video is like, I've taken the COVID test, and I've got COVID. So, and you can tell I'm not particularly well in those videos, you can just tell. And I probably shouldn't have recorded really, but I just thought, well, I've got the time, I'll do it now, I'll just do some videos, and that's what I did. But the first series I mentioned is the Dwarves of Khazad-dûm, which was the first DAC campaign I did, actually. For the Dwarves of Khazad-dûm, and it was a really fun series. I loved that series, really. It was one of my favourites back then. It came at a good time. Made at a good time. And then I did a brief little Stark Dynasty series, which eventually was renamed to the Starks of the East, because I was going to do a Dynasty series where we'd play for hundreds of years in the Far East as well, because I had the Starks start over there in ET. But sadly, I got really bored in that part of the world and ended up shelving that series, but I did continue it as the Mud Dynasty later on. for Game of Thrones. And I did a Free Peoples campaign for Third Age 4.0, but I had a recent update, so it was 4.5, so that was fun. It was just nice to revisit the Free Peoples of Eriador, because I love that fashion, especially in the old days of Third Age Total War 3.3. Then I started my first sort of foray into Battle for Middle-earth #1, the Evil campaign. I gave that a go while I was unwell. And I did a Mud Dynasty series for Secret to Game of Thrones, and I did a Targaryen Dynasty for Crusader Kings to Game of Thrones, which is probably the most... How many... Did that get like 10k, I think, for the first episode? 12k. Okay. So yeah, that was a very popular campaign. A lot of people loved that, and I did really enjoy that as well. That was a really good campaign. And I think probably really lit up my channel a bit. Even the Mud series, I think, did fairly well. Yeah, not as well, but 3,000's nothing to sniff at. Then I did another DAC campaign. This was around the time around we get into like 2023 here, where I got into a relationship, and it went very well for the first year, pretty much. And then the next year, it sort of just went a bit downhill. And I will spare you the boring details, but essentially, when a relationship is run its course, it's run its course, and there's certainly not forcing it. And I haven't heard from her in about, I think I last had any form of contact with her was about 2024 September time, roughly. And it was just her telling me she didn't pass the driving test a while back. And that's the last time. I haven't heard from her since, so who knows where she is now. I've no idea. I don't really care. But yeah, the next thing was the Athelmore Chronicles, which is basically Aeon's wife and Athelmore, because the Aeon's wife campaign ended a bit premature, and I think I did a continuation of the campaign, but as like the remnants of Athelmore, which is why I titled it, which surprisingly got a lot of views. It actually got more than the Erebor campaign at like nearly 4,000, which is interesting. A lot of people really preferred his wife over the Erebor, which is a surprise normally. I did the Valarian Dynasty, which I remember quite distinctively, which got the first episode got 8,000 views. Not as popular as Targaryen, but still very popular. I did a House of Dragon series, which is a nod obviously to House of Dragon, which has come out was it earlier in that year? And I saw Games Inc. do a similar series with this House of Dragon thing where you play as all Targaryen throughout the history. I did a similar thing there, and it was good fun. And it got a fair few views as well. Then I did a Wessex series because I really fancy playing a vanilla game. Sadly, didn't really get a lot of views. The first episode got 800, but over then it didn't really get. It got over about 100, but I think towards the end it got less than 100. So it was more of a series that I just really wanted to do myself, and I didn't really care how many people watched. It was just fun. I did a faction tournament series for DAC where I just basically used a tournament creator thing and just did like a bunch of different battles between all different like faction rosters and units and see who would win. And surprisingly, and this is bizarre, but Mordor won. Because Mordor won and they beat the Noldor of Eregion, which is actually a huge win. I think the reason they won is purely because Sauron, the unit of Sauron, was present in that battle. That's partly why they won. I did the Empire Total War campaign as well with the Great Britain as Darth Mod, which is fun. 8 episodes because the series was basically all pretty much done. I don't think I finished the victory conditions or whatever, but I basically done what I had set out to do in that series pretty early, so that ended when it ended. And I did a Erebor campaign, the Fragments of Erebor, because we were sort of rebuilding the nation, and sadly it never really continued on further, sadly, because I think there was I'm sure around this time as well, I think we're getting to like 2024 now, where I had a problem with my PC and the hard drive broke, and unfortunately a bunch of my save files got lost, so that kind of killed the Athelmore and the Erebor and a bunch of other stuff, I think. In fact, a few episodes were actually deleted because of it, because it was like the series were like there was just no way I could continue them with half the stuff missing. And then I did the Kelgar Dynasty series sometime after I came back, and it was around this time my relationship had pretty much fizzled out altogether, and and the Kelgar Dynasty was a really fun campaign. I really enjoyed it, and it got 6,000 views for the first episode, and it was when I first did a prologue episode where I would get people to vote for like what era we started in, and that video got 1,200 views as well, which is pretty good. So the prologue episode was when I was sort of rolling them out and giving them a go, and I'm continuing them ever since now. I did the Battle for Earth stuff, I did the good campaign for the second game, and I did the Angmar thing for Battle for Earth, but I eventually, and this is why I haven't continued with Battle for Oh, excuse me. This is why I haven't continued with Battle on Earth, is because the... God. Need a drink. Okay, let's just start again. I need to drink more. Especially when I'm talking for like nearly 40 minutes straight. It's just amazing I can do that, actually. Anyway, so Battle on Earth, I did that, and I didn't continue it because I just couldn't be bothered. And I also just didn't really want to continue, to be honest, as well. I just didn't really... The problem is, I think, as well, because I've seen the playthrough. I watched Galu's playthrough when he did Battle on Earth, so I know what happens. And when you know what happens, it kind of defeats the objective to play on, especially when Battle on Earth isn't really the more my... I enjoyed it, don't get me wrong, but I just didn't... I don't enjoy Battle on Earth, and I don't really enjoy real-time strategy as much as I do Total War, or possibly even the Paradox games, depending on which one. Mainly CK2. Even CK3, I played a bit of CK3, did not enjoy that. It was just really boring, especially with the Game of Thrones mod. Maybe the CK2 vanilla is better, but the Game of Thrones mod with CK3 is just made me so bored, and that's why that's not happening. I did a Wizarding World series for the Gaunt Dynasty, which is obviously the descendants of Voldemort, or the ancestor of Voldemort, I should really say. And that was an alright series. Didn't really continue much further because, unfortunately, it was just really bare bones, the mod. And maybe perhaps I'll do that again in the future, but do something a bit differently. But I just found it really boring. I did the Fellowship campaign. And this is sort of becoming down the multiplayer stuff now, because I got really into multiplayer stuff, and I'll talk about that in a bit. But I did the Fellowship campaign, which was good fun, definitely a good remaster, and that's just a bit of fun, really. I won't remaster it again unless there is unless someone actually makes a new Fellowship campaign, and maybe I'll play it again. That'd be like one of the newer series, but I don't think I need to redo that ever again. Unless there's a new, especially with the Third Age 3.2 mod, because the crashing was rather annoying. Although I say crashing. The crashing was annoying in the first series, because in that second series, I did a few bits of I added a few... I put the 4GB patch and larger dresserware, which is features in DAC. And actually, I think apart from maybe the Ents crashing the game... I can't remember if I got through the Ents crashing or not, but apart from that, I think they actually ran pretty well. So... just makes a difference when you put the larger dresserware and the 4GB patch on the mod. Actually, it runs a hell of a lot better, and that's what I would recommend for generally playing Medieval 2 mods. Always go and grab those files and put them into your that mod. It's really good. So I started doing some multiplayer series, because I sort of kind of like I started up a little Discord. Well, I have a Discord community, but I thought you know what, let's give a few multiplayer events a go, and I did, and that's all what happened. So we did various little scenarios. Sadly, unfortunately, I kind of, the multiplayer stuff, it was alright, but it did not get hardly any views compared to the single player stuff, and that's something I think I'm gonna like. Because of that, I think I'll stick to more single player stuff. It was fun. It was nice to experiment. I'm glad I did it, but I don't think I'll bother recording much multiplayer stuff in the future. Then we did a few other things. We did a few like little scenarios where we did like Blackfire Rebellion, Robert's Rebellion, Clash of Kings, etc. And then I did a few like proper series, such as the Roman Empire Restoration. Sadly, it didn't really become the restoration of the Roman Empire, because of a multiplayer series that just didn't go any further. And also the views were pretty rubbish as well. The first episode only got 898 views, which isn't bad. But back when I was playing it, it didn't really get many views at all. Very, very small amount there. That kind of diminished my own ability to continue, and also my own friends were kind of like, there's much more I was playing this. Especially when and the Game of Thrones mod was very unstable for multiplayer, but the one mod that wasn't was the Seven Kingdoms mod, and also the Vanilla game as well. That was fun. We also then branched out a bit, and we did the Warhammer 3 series for Kislev as the Ice Court, and that was pretty fun. That was so fun, and it's good to do an 8-player co-op. I'd never done that before, and a friend of mine was telling me, I would have loved to do a 8-player co-op. So he was telling me a story of when he did it when Warhammer 3 first came out, and there we go. We did it, and we managed to get 8 players. I think towards the end we only had about 6 players left, but it was good fun. And unfortunately, the series ended. There was going to be like another episode of that. But I think because we tried to do a few little sessions, but it didn't really work out. Because I think ended up just not playing. And I think people would like to sort of we tried a couple of sessions, didn't work out, and that was the, I just sort of thought, I just stop recording there, and I just wrap it up as it is. I did think about doing the finale video, but because the views were so low of that series, one of the videos got like 36 views, which is unheard of, and 21 views, which is just horrendous on my channel, and that was kind of like the views. That's when a view level drops about that for a series that I just didn't really care much about. That's when you know it's been shelved, sadly. And of course, the Woodland Realm campaign for DAC EUR version 2, which has done pretty well. The first episode has got about 2,600 views, and the prologue episode got about 1,400 as well. So that did very well, and I'm very pleased with that series. The views unfortunately dropped off a bit, but I think that's kind of also partly my fault because I haven't uploaded as regularly as probably one should, but life's busy, fight me. And obviously I'm doing my Brazil campaign, which is just a re-upload series from the old Lucium channel, which I'm just bringing you to from that channel, because I thought, you know what, let's bring it to my channel, and then that can be sort of like, and that's like the last old series that I kind of want to bring back, because obviously, you know, it'd be nice to bring that series back, and that's got a couple like 600 views. I think the old first episode on the Lucium channel got about 2,000, so we'll see if it reaches or maybe surpasses that. I guess we'll see. But anyway, I'll stop talking about all the old stuff, and you get the picture. There's some various projects I've done over the years, like installation guides, campaign overviews, special videos, like setup tour, which is incredibly outdated, and then hot seat epilogue videos, which I still get requested to this day to do more hot seat videos, even though I've kind of I've got one hot seat ongoing, and I think when that ends, I think I probably will just step away from hot seat altogether. I've been admin hot seats since about 2020. And it'd be about, probably by the time that series, that Elder Scrolls 1 finishes, I suspect probably my 6-year anniversary will probably coming up, and that'll probably be my point to either sort of step down, or unless I feel like a real, a passion to start doing them more, and then maybe in the future you'll see some, I doubt it. I think my time with hot seats has come to an end, and I'm going to focus on what's more important, like this channel. A lot of people still like the idea of me doing installation guides. I think I will do them in the future, but the reason I was put off from doing installation guides because I just didn't really have the time in the end. It just took up way too much time, and also because I kept getting flagged on YouTube for bloody saying that I was helping people install, pirating the mod, and I refuted a bunch of those accusations, and I was able to get those videos restored, but for a short period they were taken down, which was disappointing. Well, they weren't taken down; they weren't able to be viewed for a time, and I was able to get them back, but because I was like, excuse me, I went to Twitter and I was like, hey, this video is it's a modification of a mod for, you know, bloody Medieval 2, not a bloody, I'm not pirating anything. It's just, I don't know why those got flagged. Now, I wonder if people have had a similar issue, but yeah, unfortunately, they got caught with that. I don't know why. You'll see as well as a little prologue episode of Scales Dynasty. To tell you the truth, I just left it on there because it got a good amount of views, and I thought, well, I'll just leave it on there. But I probably won't continue that series because, unfortunately, despite how popular the prologue episode, which blows me away that it's got nearly 5,000 views, which is kind of like, oh, maybe I should do Game of Thrones CGO3, but unfortunately, with the idea I have as well, I don't think I'm going to do it that way anyway. But disappointingly, I think I probably will. Well, disappointingly, I just didn't really enjoy that at all, and it's been 2 months since the prologue episode and that kind of thing. There's no point. The last 2 episodes I also uploaded as well have not done as well as the algorithm. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if the algorithm is just blown up or it's just been really crap lately, and it's just been a pain in the ass, which is annoying. But hopefully it will continue, and this is why partly I'm doing the relaunch. I think one of my videos was playing, but I think it wasn't because I couldn't hear myself. Okay. Anyway, but yeah, so let's talk about the actual channel itself. What I've got planned coming up. Now, the Woodland Realm and Brazil campaign will continue alongside. They will just continue as they are, as older campaigns, just sort of fizzing them out, really. I might even try and do the episodes a bit shorter, because unfortunately, despite the fact that I love doing hour-long videos, well, I don't love it, but it always just ends up being an hour, because I just find, I always fear that I've not been entertained enough. Oh, I'm now, it's now my birthday. I'm now 24. Wow, and literally dead on 24, at 3 minutes past midnight, I'm 24, because that's when I was born. I was released from my cave from my from my imprisonment. And here we go. I guess we're 24. Wow, crazy. Here we go. Happy birthday to myself. I suspect there may be a few belated happy birthday messages in this video, but I suspect that's already long past. So I have to do a little announcement later. But yes, I'm bringing back. I'm continuing on with the current campaigns. I'm bringing back. I'm relaunching the brilliant. What I'm trying to say that I'm slightly drunk. Now, what I'm trying to say, everyone, is that oh dear, you can tell it's late. Bear with me, guys. Bear with me, everyone. But yes, I'm going to be doing a new way of doing the Total War and Crusader Kings 2 campaigns on the channel. I'm going to continue with CK2 until I get... Well, I'm going to continue with Crusader Kings 2 because the way I'm going to do this next phase of campaigns, it kind of requires... I can't really do it with CK3 exactly because it won't necessarily work, especially for like Game of Thrones or that. I mean, maybe there might be some things I could do for CK3, but for the time being, I'm sticking with CK2 because I want to. Oh, one thing I will mention before we dive further into my ideas is that the first, my installation guides, funny enough, speaking of the devils, the stainless steel 6.41 from 5 years ago, like June 2020, I think, that has hit 100,000 views, which is absolutely bananas. And I to this day, I have no idea why that's done so popular, but it has, and I'm quite chuffed about that, actually. Now, one thing I did notice, sadly, I don't really know why. I assume I must have been hit by like a bug or something happened. But a bunch of the videos from that period got whacked with a lot of dislikes. I don't know necessarily why, because the ratio has gone back up since then. But a lot of these videos got hit with a lot of like dislikes and campaign overviews. So I don't know exactly why they were so whacked with like a dislike. I assume it must have been like a bot, or maybe it was like a hacker, or whatever reason. It just got whacked with a bunch of dislikes, and I don't really know why. The stainless steel one is fine now. I don't know why, because the dislikes don't really do anything. I don't know if the thing is, the dislikes is I don't know if they affect the algorithm to maybe not push your video as much, which is something I'd like to know if that's true or not. But I always thought they just don't really matter. But yeah, it's just weird. It's just an odd thing. It's not like I'm not fearing that people dislike me. And if you dislike my installation guide to the point where 700 people have disliked it, then I would have thought that there would have been at least a couple comments to suggest there's some serious issues, or you don't like this, you don't like the fact that I've said this, and the video's 4 minutes, so I don't know what I've done to offend that amount of people in 4 minutes. So I assume it is probably just a bug, or just something's gone wrong there, and I have no idea. But either way, it doesn't really affect me. When I first saw it, I was like, what the hell, what have I done? What's happened? But yeah, I don't know. It's just weird. Anyway, we move on. And that was just a very odd thing. I thought I'd mention it because I don't know why it's happened. Maybe someone knows more than I do, but I assume it's a bug. Again, if that amount of people disliked the video, I'd imagine that I would know about it by then. I would know there would have been at least some comments, because usually when people are annoyed, and I get this in my day-to-day job, but when people are annoyed or something's gone wrong and they're not happy about something, then they're going to mention it. It's like at work where we get a review from somebody who's unhappy. They're going to like leave a review and say they're unhappy, or we're going to hear from like our customer service team to say, oh, this has happened, etc. And the same should be said for, oh, I can't install this. And I know there are people that generally have issues, or their computers just don't work for whatever reason. And it's just one thing. I don't know why. And I can't help everyone. I can't completely help somebody all the time. Unfortunately, it's never going to happen. No one's compromise is the way forward in many avenues of life, I'm afraid. But yeah, I thought it was odd. But anyway, we'll move on to the more exciting stuff. I did think about bringing an upload schedule, but every time I bring an upload schedule, it never works out, so I'm just not going to bother. And the videos will just be spaced out uploaded whenever I can be asked. Usually around 6 o'clock in the evening, for those that really care. It doesn't really matter. But when I upload some of these videos, there's one of the Brazil episodes I uploaded like 11 o'clock in the evening. and it got like hardly any views. I don't know if that was because of it. I don't know. Maybe the algorithm can't be pushed at a certain time. I know the meta is to do like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but I've done that before, and it hasn't really. I don't think it's made much difference, but I could be wrong. Maybe I'll attempt. Excuse me. Maybe I'll attempt to do the 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we'll see if that makes a difference. But I don't think it does. I think it's just. But the thing is, I was thinking if you upload around that time, I think. Well, I think it will be drowned out by all the amount of other people doing that same time. So, you know, it's just, I don't know. I always go by my audience engagement level. So, I look, you know, I don't necessarily care. But I look at, like, when your viewers are on YouTube in the last 28 days. Obviously, I know it's not going to affect my thing in a while. But yeah, it seems around the evening time, roughly, is like I've just always gone with 6 o'clock in the evening. And we're like, yeah, we'll go with that and we'll see if that makes any kind of difference to the world. Probably not, but there you go. Looking back at my analytics, I guess we should probably go for the lifetime, you know, on the 3rd of November to this day. We'll go for the lifetime briefly, now I'm going to talk about the more exciting stuff. For the last 28 days, the last sort of stuff that's been exciting has been the stainless steel video with 1,000 views in the last ridiculous. But yeah, so it's odd. But popular stuff is like the Scales thing is quite popular. The Woodland Realm got quite a few views, and Jon Snow thing is still popping off after all these years. Guess people love Jon Snow. I do, I guess. Not as much as Lord of the Rings characters, but yeah, Jon Snow is pretty cool. I liked him a lot. But yeah, I guess the more on the big life, I go for the age and gender. Male, 99.5%. There are 0.5% females that watch, and to be honest, this channel, I mean, I can't really say it these days. This channel was probably aimed for, I imagine, everybody. If I were to say who do I think it's aimed at, I would say guys more often. Guys, men of sorry, I don't really think of it like that. I just think of like whoever wants to watch. But the majority of people don't really watch with subtitles, so I assume that a majority of my viewers like English, and according to my geographies, that is pretty much correct. My viewer age, though, it does tell me 50% of people are 25 to 34, and 41% between 18 and 24 is 41%. There's 7% for 35 to 44s, 0.7% for 45 to 54. I'm surprised someone that old is watching my videos. I thought this would be way out of their interest, but I suppose Total War's an old game, so. Then 13 to 17 years is 0.1%, so I would have thought more. Well, I don't know, what do kids watch these days? Probably brain rot, Fortnite crap. Anyway, I'm sure that's not the case for many of you, but as a 24-year-old, and I look back at the old generation now, I think, good God, what the hell are they watching? And I realize that statement alone has just made me sound like my dad or my grandfather. But top geographies, as to be expected, the United States is 20% of my main geographies, 20% of my main viewers, I guess. United Kingdom's 10%, which is interesting. There's only like 30% from the English-speaking countries, but only all the others are all 3% across the whole world, and it's very... It's weird. But the top 5 people watching you got the US, United Kingdom, Poland, Germany, and Canada. Which is Canada, makes sense. Germany and Poland did not really expect that one, to be honest. I would say a complete surprise. There's a couple on there that are quite popular, I guess. If I look from views alone, you've got France on there, Brazil, Russia, apparently. That's surprising. Italy, Netherlands, Australia, Turkey, Sweden, Spain. And we're going from just under 3,000 here. If I go any further, it's just under the 2,000 now. Which is interesting. I'm always, when I first did YouTube, I never thought that so many people across the whole world would be watching. So it's always very interesting to see that's the case. And then obviously got the watch time. So watch times, obviously, that's not subscribed is 84%. Fair enough. Subscribed is 15%, which is a decent amount. But again, it's the common trend. People will just click on the video, have a look, watch. And if they're interested in the series, then I'd imagine they would subscribe. That's what I would do anyway. But yeah, then you've got people that put notifications on, which I never mention. And this is the thing, I don't really, maybe back in the day I might have done, but certainly not nowadays. I don't really mention about people subscribing. Maybe if I did, perhaps there might be a change in the rates, perhaps, but I never mentioned to people about turning the notifications on or subscribing or liking the video, etc. Because I don't, because I'm not in it for a job, and I'm not one of those people that I just didn't like that. I'm sure I did back in the day, but I remember people like back then, back when I did YouTube, I never wanted to be that guy who was gonna be like, especially probably more so when I came back to it in 2019 after that first break. I never wanted people always. Well, I wanted people to subscribe and view and stuff like that, but I didn't want to beg for subscribers and beg for likes and all this stuff. I just wasn't about that at all, and I was like, no, I'm not doing that. If you want to subscribe, you want to like the video, you want to put the notifications on, go for it. I'm not going to tell you to do that. Which is when I decide to suddenly take breaks on the channel, which does happen when I'm on holiday, or if I'm decided I can't be asked for a couple of months, and I will just stop doing videos. And I don't have to I don't feel like I have to justify myself, because I'm not telling you to like, subscribe, etc. This is an interesting thing. Watch time on devices, which is always an odd one. But the majority of people actually watch my stuff on the computer, which is interesting. I'm surprised by that. I thought most people would be phone or tablet, maybe more phone, I guess. But people do actually open up their computer and watch my videos. Now, and this is sort of what I do now with the odd Galu videos. I still watch his channel. I still love his channel. No one's topped that yet. There's obviously many other YouTubers, but yeah, I still watch the videos. It's just nice to have in the background, and that's kind of what I imagine some people probably do with me. And I honestly wouldn't really be overly sad about that, because to be honest, I do the same with other people. So if you listen to me in the background while you're playing a game, that's fine. Still views for me, I guess. Maybe the odd bit of money here and there, but who knows. But yeah, mobile phones 36%, computers 42%. TV is 15%, and the tablet's 5%, which is interesting. TV, obviously, it's not massive. And obviously, it does seem like 6 o'clock seems to be the rough time. So I imagine it's time zone difference, because American viewers probably on later compared to where I am in the UK, so it's different. Yeah. Just random stuff about audience by watch behavior. New viewers is quite high, 79%. Casual viewers 20%. Regular viewers 1%. So I don't have a huge. A lot of it seems to be new people, so I need to kind of reignite my sort of my fans, basically. So if you can call it that. But again, I'm not in it for the monetary side of things. If you want to know how much I've made over the last lifetime of the channel, I've made about £400. And that's from the lifetime of the channel. Now, I only really began monetization around, where was it? I can't remember now. It was, let's see if it tell me. Because YouTube used to be it used to give you money for anything back in the day. But I think my revenue, it was when I got about 1,000 subscribers. So it's about September 2022. But so I've been monetized the channel for 3 years. And, yeah, and I think the highest I've got, if I look by about a month, is like £20, £23. It's not really a lot. That's why I'm never doing this as a job. But I mean, maybe even in the future, I think if the channel blew up and I got thousands and thousands of subscribers and I got loads and loads of money out of it, and you probably could at one point be like, it's a job, etc. But it's just not a viable source of income, I'm afraid. Even then, I wouldn't throw my job out the window just to do this full time. This is never gonna work out. But if I look at general, apparently I earned 5p in 2016, which is hilarious. But if I look by a year, so 2022 I earned about £55. 2023 I got £75. 2024 I got 174. And then this year I only got £86, so it's really not a lot, and it's just interesting I thought I'd mention it, because I'm not really spoken about it. I know this hidden sort of rule and things of not talking about money these days. It's more of a polite, courteous thing, but with the YouTube thing, it's really not a lot. £400 is a blink in like a drop in the ocean these days. Goodness. But hey, it's funded my new computer, I guess. But then the new computer. that was that was like a very small percentage of the cost. About one quarter of the cost. That was. But I'm sure it helped in some way, and it's nice to get a bit of income. I love my, I say love my job. I do enjoy my job, and I get, a decent wage. So I do like that, but it's nice to get the odd bit of money from YouTube now and again and think, oh well, this is money I've done by just sitting on my ass playing video games. So it's nice to get some sort of money back, I guess. But definitely, and for people thinking, oh, I'll try and make it a job, not a good idea. And even if you get loads and loads of views and you make lots and lots of money, it's not a viable source of income long term, or a job long term, because eventually people will drop off the channel. Like channels now, you see that I've got million subscribers. The videos nowadays only get like 100,000. It depends on the YouTuber, I guess, but it's not like a, you've got to make a lot of money. Make what's a phrase I've heard? Make money. I don't remember what it is really. This is terrible. Make hay while the sun's up, or something like that. I think just make a lot of money while you can, and then then retire. Which is kind of like what drug dealers do. If you ever watch Breaking Bad, that kind of what happens. Doesn't really work with YouTube though, because it's all done via advertisement thing. In fact, I don't know if there's even a. Can I see what actually? That's not it. Can I see actually what exactly? Where does the actual the ads go? So some of it's actually YouTube Premium, some of it's the ads, which seems to be the main source of income. So yeah, it's mainly ads, isn't it? But yeah, we talk about the channel now. It's just, this whole video has been spent, the hour has been spent me talking about the channel. But I suppose for those interested, it's just a bit of interesting information for you, and hope the gameplay in the background has kept you interested. But now I will finally announce what the new plans of the channel is going to be. Now, for the Total War campaigns, I'm going to do something a bit different. Now, the Total War campaigns have always been, I just really want to do something different with the channel. I am going to do probably more half-an-hour episodes. I would like in the future to do live streaming, that's definitely on the cards, but I don't feel I get the viewership that's worth it for me to sit there for an hour and a half and do it. I'd also have to reconfigure loads of settings on the channel and my recording, streaming settings, and I probably could figure it out, but I just can't be bothered at the moment. Maybe in the future, maybe when I get a few more subscribers, maybe, I guess we'll see where we are in about a year's time, and if I've got like a load of subscribers, a lot more concurrent viewers, then sure, I'll probably look to do it and give it a go, and my webcam will appear as well. But yeah, so Woodland Realm Brazil will continue on. Brazil will continue on once a week. The last episode will, let me just double check, will go up on the, well, I might change, did I change this? The next one is going up on the 6th of November. I think I'm going to change the Brazil episode to Tuesday. So eventually, because the current would be the, so it will be the 30th of December is when the last episode of the Brazil campaign will go up, and that's when that series will end, so just before the new year, which is a nice point. The Woodland Ram campaign, I'm not really sure. I kind of think we're coming closer to the end. I need to record it way more, to be honest, really, but we're coming to a point where we're getting closer and closer to the end of that series. We've retaken our Woodland Realm territories, we're defeating Dol, and we're about to come on Mordor very soon. In fact, I was thinking about selling who was it, Otard, to get the ring from Umbar, but I might just sell him into bloody Mordor and just kill off Sauron that way, the old-fashioned way, because by the time we get the ring, we have to go all the way back to Rivendell, and then we have to go all the way back to we have to go to Rivendell, then go all the way back to Mordor, and I just can't be asked. I could just cheat him back and forth, but yeah, it's just one of those annoying things that you'd have to do. But anyway, I don't want this video to be long. This has been an hour already, so I'm trying and get through it to get to an ending before it goes on too long. With the release of this video on the 3rd of November, which is a Monday, I will also release a poll, and that will basically give you the choice of what campaigns will come next. Now, the way I'm doing the Total War campaign is going to be some sort of a marathon series. Where, say for example, we're going to use England as an example. We play as the British Empire. So what that will mean is that we'll play from the earliest point you can play, and when I say British Empire, I mean from England bespokely. Is that a word? It is now, I guess. Like Donald Trump making words. Making words, making it up as I go along. That's what he's doing. That and our tool maker of a president? No, Prime Minister. I'm more and more as I've gotten older, I'm convinced these politicians don't know what the hell they're doing. And to be honest, who the hell knows what they're doing? I mean, you know, that's horse crap. I'm sure people do, but you know, especially those guys, no idea, no idea. But hey, it's just funny. It's all right. It's all right. I'm not an American, so I can sit here across the pond and just laugh. But then again, I'm sure they're laughing at our Prime Minister, who's a moron. Oh dear, I'm sure the people will disagree with me, but let's not make it a political thing. I just don't have the bet. Just don't have the Labour government is just not my. They're not my favourite at the moment. That's all I'll say there. We move on. Oh, and Prince Andrew's had his titles revoked. That's interesting. That's a bit of a laugh. About time. About time. Although I don't know if there's any evidence really, but I imagine there's definitely some sort of evidence. Obviously, there's pictures, but I don't. That's the thing. There's no he's never been charged for what he did. Epstein obviously has, but I don't really want to get into that. But I mean, Prince Andrew's just an idiot. Made some very stupid social connections, and that has fortunately cost him basically everything, really. So it's made a very, very poor decision of company, really. But it doesn't really matter. He's done it now, but it's very odd like situation. I mean, the fact that she died, and we're not really sure how. Well, we understand that she had an accident and then died up sometime after that with a suicide, but we don't really understand why. It's just a bit of a, it's all very weird. It's just very strange. I'm sure people have theories in the comments, but it's just very strange. But I won't get into it. But anyway, that happens. So that's interesting. Not the first time the king of, well, it could be worse. Charles could have taken a view from one of his far back descendants or ancestors. Ancestors. I always just sort of use them as the same, but I don't know if that's correct. But from his ancestor Edward IV, who had his brother executed and drowned in a vat of wine. So he could have done that. I mean, maybe some people out there be probably been hoping that he would have done that. But we live in a civilized world now, and despite the fact that the immigration problem is getting worse, I don't know where this is going. Let's just stop now. We'll discuss this another time, maybe in the Woodland Realm videos, because people are really keen to hear my suggestions and ideas. I don't know. Who knows? I'm not going to get into it. Let's just move on. Let's just agree to disagree. But yeah, so what we're going to do for the Total War campaigns is from the perspective of England. That's what we were talking about. Is go from the perspective of playing as England, say from the earliest point we can play in England, say as like a Celt, like the Iceni from Rome 2, and then we'll play from that point on throughout all the various Total War games and mods until we get to the point where I guess we British England, and then we go to England all the way to like the British Empire, and then probably to that World War II mod for Rome 1 if it still works. If not, the Great War mod will be where we draw the line. And basically, the idea is we go from a marathon series from the Iceni all the way till the like Great War mod for Napoleon, or the World War II mod if it still works. I remember it being quite buggy, so God knows if it's still going. But yeah, so that's kind of the idea. We will go through all the different scenarios of England, from the Celts, from the Saxons invading, maybe some Britannia stuff here and there, for the Roman Britannia, I guess. That's more of a Roman thing though, isn't it, really? We go from the Saxons invading, play as the Saxons, and eventually, we go through the different time periods, play as different Saxon kings, go from the Viking Age, go on to the Saxons in medieval England, and then eventually the Normans, and then the English, as we would come to know them by, and eventually, go on and on until eventually we become the British Empire, and go on and on until we reach the end of our run as the British or English. Which is not actually something I'm doing. That may happen if you vote for it, but it's not something I'm doing, which it might surprise you, but it was. Now, this idea came across recently, literally yesterday. I was thinking about it and thinking, because I've been thinking like for the last ages now about how do I want this, what am I going to do for the 10-year anniversary, and how am I going to work things, and I've come up with this, and this is the idea. And with the Empire Total War faction, but I thought, oh, we could do this with the United States, and then do like a United States thing, and that is exactly what we're going to do. We are going to play as the US, basically from the earliest point you can, all the way to the end state for the US. Again, probably the 1942 mod for Rome 1, if that still works. If not, it'd probably be like Shogun 2, Fall of the Samurai, something like that, I think. But we're starting with the English colonies, which is the faction for the Americas, Medieval 2 expansion. So we're actually going to be starting with the English colonies in the 1520s, which is an earlier point because it didn't really show up to about 1580, then didn't really establish a permanent settlement till about 16 something or other. I think 1607, wasn't it? I think when they took over not took over, but when they built Jamestown. I can't remember now. I did watch a show about that years ago. Very good show. It's literally called Jamestown if anyone's interested. And that's where we're starting with the English colonies. Then we're going to go through the Road to Independence campaign, and until we get to the part where I call it the LEC, but I think that's the late era campaign. That was it, yeah. So the US, and eventually we play like the Steam and Steel mod, which is the Victorian era mod, and then the American Civil War mod. And what I'll do actually is I'll get you to vote between either the US or the Confederacy, so we can either play as one or the other for the Steam and Steel, and then I'll play the one we don't play for like the what's it called? The American Civil War mod. What's it called? And then we do the Shogun 2 mod of the US, and then if we can do the World War II one, we'll do that as well for the Rome 1 mod if it works. With the 1942 as the United States in the Second World War. We can't do World War One, unfortunately, because they're not a faction in Napoleon Total War's Great War mod, because obviously you can't really fit that in. You can't really fit the whole North American subcontinent. I guess you could maybe have a horde that shows up as the Americans, but it doesn't really work. So I think they're represented by a couple units, I think I read somewhere, because I was thinking about doing that. So that's what we're doing next. Deep Breath everyone, we're going to play as the United States, or most specifically the English colonies in Medieval 2, the Americas. Eventually then we'll go on, when that campaign concludes, and we go all the way on till the, we'll go all the way on until we, reach the end of that point, I guess. I'm also going to be doing, also what I have done in the background, is I sort of started modding on this ages ago. Before the Americas DLC, I have been doing my own little sub-mod, which I do intend to release you all to the public. I'm going to take a quick pause, mix to grab some more water, and then I shall come back and we discuss what's next. I'm just going to pause the recording a second. Okay, we're back. So, that timed break was quite useful because I had to quickly write down something actually that I just thought I'd mention for this video as well. So yes, the New England campaign is going to kick off at some point in the future for being of his new sort of style of series. The way I'm going to try and style it, and it kind of depends again how much time I have when I get around to the production stage, the pre-production stage. Recording it obviously is fine, and modding wise there's a few modding things I've pretty much already done, but I probably want to do the odd things here and there, which I will release to the public when the series gets around to the point when it starts to begin around the time I start recording it, which hopefully should be soon. But again, see how much time I have. I'm going out to work next week, and I've got the weekend off, obviously, before then, so I've got a bit of time. But again, I'm doing mainly birthday celebrations and things, so I'm going to be busy. And obviously, I have been off the last week, but unfortunately, whenever I have a week off work, I end up becoming really lazy, and I guess I just get too carried away with the sort of time off, and I think I just end up or I end up doing something else or something like that, and I just don't really think about it at the time, and I think, well, I should have done this, but I end up doing something else, or just end up relaxing too much, and then, whoops, there goes half the week. Well, all in good time, obviously. Sometimes you need to just relax and just do nothing for a bit, and I seem to be an expert at that. But yes, apparently I am an idiot as well, so you can delete your comments that suggests that I'm a moron, because yes, I have got bloody words mixed up for descendant and ancestor. Ancestor is the person who came before you, descendant is one who lives after you. So yeah, I don't know why I got this mixed up. There you go. My brain's turned off apparently this week as well. That's among other things, I imagine. But anyway, so the next thing I'm going to do, and this is kind of inspired a little bit from the Minecraft series, that Minecraft sort of server that's been going on, which if you're interested in joining, it's open to the public. You just have to go and join via my Discord, which is a link there. I can't show you, but there's a link there, and you'll just scroll down, you can find his server, Frozen Realm server, or whatever it's called. Well, I think it's Frozen Kingdom, but I think there's also another thing that says Frozen Realm, so we should probably amend that. But it's open to the public, it's all good fun. I'm currently in the process of building up my castle. Unfortunately, there's no footage of that castle in the Minecraft footage that you may probably be watching right now, or might be watching the other stuff, who knows. I'll probably split it. But yeah, it's a Minecraft. I'm currently building the castle at the moment, and anyone's welcome to stay there as long as you don't blow it up. Otherwise, we'll have some issues. There's a little plugin actually I can actually disable people blowing up shit, so that's good. But yeah, so this next series is inspired by that Minecraft thing, and I'm going to do a Minecraft series. Now, why? Because again, I've kind of been really into it lately, thanks to the server. And also, Minecraft actually is a bit of a story. Minecraft obviously a big thing in my life and my childhood, and I figured, and because Minecraft actually was originally my whole plan to do YouTube back in way back long before the channel was created. I always wanted to do Minecraft as a actual YouTube thing, because back then it was really popular and everybody was on there. Everybody and their dog was playing Minecraft, and at the time I enjoyed it. I played the 360 version mainly at the time, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. I remember trying actually, no, I must have been, what, 11, 12, I tried to record without a capture card, but just with an actual video camera, and I God knows what happens to that footage now, it's very long gone, but I remember doing that. It was just so scuffed, but I look back and I admire my effort and plan to do this. So hilarious. But anyway, so Minecraft was the thing I wanted to do on the channel, and I thought, well, for the anniversary, I thought, just do something different. And Minecraft is different. It's very different. It's very out of the realms of this channel. In fact, when you look at FrozenStag as a naming convention, you can almost look back to other YouTubers who have gone on that same thing, like Ballistic Squid or Stampy Longnose and stuff like that. But there's always been like, or Stampy Cat, I suppose, is more of a better one. But there's always been like something before, like the animal that maybe they represent to be, like High Ballistic Squid, Ballistic Stampy and then Cat, and yeah, some of that. And I guess it's a similar convention for FrozenStag. I didn't really think about it when I did first in the naming convention, but when I look back, I think actually, yeah, it could work. I can't think FrozenStag as a brand name, very ambitious. A brand name sounds a lot better than TJ Gaming. It's just, you know, there's not a lot of originality there. Whereas FrozenStag is as originality as you can get, because I don't think there is anybody else called FrozenStag on the internet. I mean, maybe there probably is the odd person, but hopefully, I think the FrozenStag naming convention is definitely mine. But whenever I look up FrozenStag on Google or YouTube or anything like that, even my like other family's computers, just to see what the search results will be, my channel pretty much always comes up, or the odd video related to it will come up. But the point is, my channel's there, which is good. But yeah, so Minecraft. So that series won't kick off straight away, whereas the obviously the US sort of one will, or whatever I call it. Maybe I think can I have a name? I think it's going to call it the Chronicles of the United States, but I'll give it some thought, the naming convention wise, but probably something Chronicle related, I guess, similar to that. Which is obviously, that campaign's going to be a bit on the spicy side because of, well, there's a certain person that's in charge of the United States right now, and then could be in charge of the United States for a lot longer. Yeah, who knows? No, I'm kidding. But there will be a few notes and obviously references, I think, to that. A lot in that series, so it's come around at an interesting time, but it's going to be quite fun. I like the idea of it. It's fun. I was very keen to do an Empire Total War campaign. I still am, and because of the United States, that's partly why I wanted to do the United States. I wanted the United States to win, and it's still in the tie. I just refreshed the page now, but I'm pretty sure it's still in the tie. Yeah, it is. And I'm going to go with the one I wanted to play the most, because there's a person in the comments also on that poll pointing out actually how US is just a lot better, and basically listed all the reasons as to why they're really fun, and the US is for me. And that's kind of, it convinced me in that comment, and as time's gone on, as I thought about it, it's convinced me more, and I think that'll be the plan. We'll do that, and that means I can, even though we will play the America DLC first for Medieval 2, which is good fun, it will kind of like, I would still be able to play Empire afterwards. It's still fun. So it's still good. I still get to play my Empire Total War, which is the whole point. So yeah, I thought that was it'd be a fun little campaign. It's not a massively lengthy campaign, whereas if we did England, I think it would be, because going back all the way to the Iceni for all the Rome 2 DLCs that have the British or the English anyway featured. When I say English, obviously, I mean whoever the hell's in England in that time period. Of course, it's not going to be perfect. I can only play as so much as I can within the confines of trying to keep it related to England, I guess. But in this case, US is pretty easy. I could play as the 13 colonies again, but I think I would do that for Britain. I think if Britain or England wins, whatever. But yeah, so Minecraft, what am I going to do? What am I going to do for that? How am I going to make that series interesting? Because that's the thing, I've been playing Minecraft on and off, and I've been thinking in the back of my mind, if I was to record this, how would it go? And in my mind, I'm like, God, I've got to make it interesting. And the way I'm going to do that is by having you all vote for a character type that I'm going to play as, and we're going to do a lot of sort of RP in relation to that character. And also some of the builds we do, and some of maybe like the style play or whatever, it's going to be related to that character, if that makes sense. Like I'm going to build certain things, certain type of things and structures will be built with respect to the person we're playing, the person with like RP now as mainly. There's going to be a bit of a story to it as well. One of the things that I think would help massively in Minecraft is having a story related. Obviously, Minecraft is a sandbox game; you can do what you want, but there's a story of actually doing your achievements and things and stuff like that, and actually winning, beating the Ender Dragon and all the random other bosses as well and stuff like that. And yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do like basically a story idea. And in fact, I think this will be the first vote I do for it as well, because I think the Empire one the United States anyway, can sort of kick off whenever I get the America's mod that I've made, or sub mod that I made set up and ready to go. And then that series will happen when it happens. And in fact, for all new campaigns, the standard I'm going to set, again, all comes down to time. But as for my plan, I'm going to have like a little bit of like a musical bit at the beginning, bit of like an animation, sort of all what's going on, like the campaign, like introduction to that episode and stuff like that. And I'm going to have like an intro, a narrative intro for the first episode and the last episode of a campaign. And that's what I'm going to do. I won't do any like during the game. Again, I'm just so busy. I can't see myself managing to fit the time in to do an intro like every episode now and again. I could maybe set the goal of maybe every 10 episodes we'll do like an introductory message. And maybe we might, I guess we'll just see what happens. But the standard will definitely be the first episode will have an intro, and then the last episode of that series will have an intro. And that's kind of the idea. Obviously, some campaigns are narrative campaigns, like the Road to Independence campaign for Empire Total War is very much a story campaign from the start to the end. So I don't know if I'll bother doing intros for that. Obviously, there'll be like a little bit of introductory like animation, maybe some troops going past and a little bit of a battle going on. I can record that and like make that into like a little bit of a montage, and that can go into like what I refer to as like the bit at the beginning of the first episode. After my intro plays, like my normal FrozenStag intro, which I could change the music for that actually as well. I might do that as well, but so after that plays, it goes into like this is the FrozenStag presents the English colonies for whatever it is for America's Medieval 2, and it goes into like that part, and then we go into like chapter 1, as in whatever the hell the episode's called, and then it goes on, and then at the end it will just play the outro as normal. Maybe I might actually even change the outro, so the outro can actually be something a bit more unique, rather than just the blurred up mountains picture that I've had for like the past 3 years now. 3 to 4 years, I think it's been the same one. So I'll go for the different ideas for Minecraft. Again, I'm hoping these polls will go up at the same time as this video. We'll see how it all pans out, I guess. But it should go up. At least one of the polls will go up in this video. Now, I plan to do one poll in the evening, so probably around the time I go to bed or just when I'm having dinner. Wherever I can fit it in. And then there will be a poll in the morning. So it might be when I wake up. It might be... So possibly the idea is to do it when I wake up. I have to do it via my PC. I could probably do it on my phone, but... my PC always works better, because sometimes I've done polls on my phone before and they just don't work, or they don't send properly and there's issues. But I have unfortunately noticed there's an issue as well. Let me just take a drink a minute. That when I release, when I schedule a poll, it's really odd. It uploads perfect, but unfortunately, it doesn't actually appear on the subscriptions. And so nobody gets a notification that it's actually out. Unless you do, so basically that doesn't work anymore. You can't schedule polls. Whether or not that's an issue that is just affecting me, I don't know. But it's an issue that is affecting me, and I can't do anything. So I just have to do the polls manually, which is annoying. So I guess the first poll will go up when this goes up, which I guess we'll see. Which is annoying because I can't. It's difficult now because I can't schedule the polls to go alongside the video, which is just frustrating. So what I will do for when this goes up on the third is just release the video and the poll at the same time manually, which is annoying, but there's not really much I can do about it. But the 4 options in for the Minecraft stuff is, well, there's 4 polls, and then you'll vote. It's a bit like how I did the Empire one. Well, there's 3, but there'll be 4 polls, and you'll vote for. It will just basically narrow it down. So I won't go through the massive details. Some are pretty explanatory, but I guess if anyone has any genuine burning questions in the comments, please leave a comment there, and I'll get back to you. So the first poll option will have the 4 following options between a medieval knight, a pirate captain, a Viking jarl, and a space explorer. The second poll will have an elven paladin, a dwarven lord, a travelling shogun, a lost magi, and the third poll will have an orc king, a Roman centurion, a vampire count, and a modern man, which would basically be, present day man, I guess. A Tiki chief, this is the 4th one, so a Tiki chief, so like sort of Aztec. Tiki is more like Hawaiian, so I guess Hawaiian Tiki chief, I guess. But it could be like Aztec, Native American inspiration there. Cowboy ranger, so cowboy themed. A hobbit mayor, so like hobbit, hobbit hole kind of thing. And then a magical wizard, so like a big tower or something like that. So yeah, that gives you a basic idea, a rough idea. So medieval knight, castle, pirate captain, pirate ship, Viking jarl, probably a Viking ship, or a like a big longhouse. A space explorer could be like a spaceship or something like that. An elven paladin, also like an elven, maybe something like that, I don't know, Lothlorien or something like that. Karas Galathon. A dwarven lord obviously could be like a massive mountain settlement, like Erebor or Khazad-dûm, or perhaps even Ered Luin, or Hamgafol. Traveling shogun, so be some sort of Japanese inspiration, like a Japanese castle, something like that. Lost Magi, which is I could call Lost Pharaoh, bit of an Egyptian theme. Magi is the royal protectors of the Pharaoh. And he plays one in Assassin's Creed Origins, if anyone's ever played that. There's also a guy called Magi5, who is a YouTuber as well, who I remember helping early on in his career, but he has since done very well. Though unfortunately, he's one of those YouTubers that I see makes a lot of promises, and I in some ways I see myself in him sometimes, where he says I'll do this, and it never normally happens, and often a little disappointing. Even though he's got more subscribers than me, he just doesn't have. I don't know. It's an odd one because I don't think he has the actual community, whereas I do. Sadly, but hopefully he keep it going. He is kind of busy. I mean, he is fighting cancer, so he's got a lot on his plate. So I don't blame the guy really. But be careful when making promises. And this is a mistake I've made. It happens. I think it's very easy to get carried away on YouTube, and you make so many mistakes, and you think, oh shit, and you end up discrediting yourself by making too many promises. Unfortunately. Which does happen. But Lost Magi, obviously a pyramid could be, and it doesn't mean there'd be one building, could be others, but obviously we could vote for the different biome we'd start in, or maybe I'd figure out one that's the medieval knight could be a normal grass forest plain, the dark forest could be where we could find perhaps the Viking jarl, pirate captain could be on a desert island somewhere, Space Explorer. I guess it doesn't really matter. Space Explorer can be anywhere, but I guess somewhere, probably in the mountains that's high up, I guess. Don't know if that makes much difference, but anyway. Obviously, then you got, yeah, so Orc King could be like an orc sort of settlement, possibly. The Black Gate or Minas Morgul, I guess that's normal Nazgul though, isn't it, really? Roman Centurion, like Colosseum, I guess, or like some, like the Pantheon or something. Vampire Count, so like a, like Castle, what's it called? Castle von Drakenhof in Warhammer or something like that. Or Castle Volkihar from Elder Scrolls. Modern Man, obviously, would just be like a house, like a, just basically a normal guy, I guess, who's been thrown into Minecraft and is just, you know, building his own stuff. But I guess we could RP with that a little bit more. Tiki Chief could be like a sort of a tiki sort of native sort of settlement, something you might come across. Maybe if you've ever played Black Flag, you've got like those shanty towns. Oh, that's more piratey though, isn't it? But you know, I'll figure out something. Maybe like a Mayan temple or something like that. Cowboy Ranger, so something like a ranch or something like that. Some sort of more cowboy themed. Like a ranch. Don't know where I was going with that, or maybe a saloon or something like that, I don't know. Then you got Hobbit Mayor, so obviously a Hobbit hole, obviously you can make the Shire, or Bree maybe. And then Magical Wizard, obviously you could do a tower, or something like that, would be pretty cool. So those are the options for that. Now obviously I'm going to go in this very brief, because again, I don't want this to be too long. Again, I want to go to bed, so I can get up early, enjoy my weekend, of my birthday weekend, and then, you know, I'm going to the theatre as well actually, so I want to be up early for that. So yeah, but I'll basically go through it in brief. I won't go through all the different ideas, but basically what I'm going to do is there's going to be a total of 8 polls for the upcoming historical Total War campaign, the fantasy Total War campaign, and then the upcoming, hell was that? Something flying around in the broom, and I was like, what the fuck was that? Oh, I think it's a light. Yeah, so fantasy Total War campaign, and then the next, because we're sort of doing, normally I would try and do 2 Total War campaigns and 2 maybe CK2 campaigns, but with how CK2 is when it comes to booting up the game, it's always easy just to keep, because especially if because I use a lot of sub mods, and if I end up like might end up having one turned off and I go back into the game, or I might forget to put one on. It's just easy to keep CK2 as one series at a time, I think. Which might mean, I think for now, I think I'd like to definitely do more Total War stuff. I'm getting more of an itch and scratch to play Total War than I am CK2, if I'm being completely honest. But I'm saying. So Crusade Kings 2 series, I say Crusade Kings 2 series, Crusade Kings 2 series and other stuff, like Mount & Blade and things. Because there's a lot of suggestions later to play that, so I figured, oh, I'll include that as well. And then one other game series, so something to go alongside Minecraft. Then that sort of leaves the 7th slot, obviously the Brazil thing and the... So Brazil and I imagine, yeah, so Brazil and the DAC theme will carry on, and eventually that will be replaced by their respective fantasy and historical campaigns when that wraps up. So those things you'll see in a little bit, in a less amount of time. Other games, so obviously that does leave, other games is just other games, not strategy basically. Although there's a few, one is, did I put it in actually? I can't remember now. No, it's not a, but yeah, I mean some could be strategy games, who knows. But it's nice to do something a bit different, and I kind of want to do different things on the channel, so that you can get what I'm going with this. And I'm not going to worry about views too much. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I'm going to make the standard of my quality the best it can be. And if people watch, people watch. If they don't, they don't. And I'm going to be happy with that. I'm going to put the same amount of passion as I can for every single video I make. Regardless of views, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to stop. I'm going to sever that sort of like thing in the back of my mind that seems to go crazy about not having enough views. I'm just going to do what I want to do. And if people watch, they watch. If they don't, they don't. And the point is that I've had fun making the video. That's the main thing. I hope you can understand. But it does leave a 7th slot, and obviously, you know, I guess we'll see how we go already with like 6 campaigns on the go. We'll see how it goes, but I think my priority will be the campaigns themselves. But if I have time, like see how it's going, I think half-an-hour videos is definitely going to be the only way I'm going to make this feasible. Otherwise, we're going to be completely screwed in all ends. If I did an hour video, I'm never going to have the time. But half-an-hour videos, I could probably do it. I think I will do maybe an hour special or something for like the first episode of the series, or if there's a particular milestone in the series, or the last episode maybe might have an hour, might have a bit of a random runtime, because last episodes can be. But I think I will do a lot of editing. I think I will record sessions and then just sort of edit it in my own time. My editing software, and then like have like maybe I'll record like an intro and outro for each like section of the episode. Maybe a pre-recorded one, or I might just do one. I guess it depends really, but a pre-recorded intro and outro is probably going to work quite easily, especially when I'm going to be doing... Especially the focus is going to be more videos that I'm just going to do when I have the time, so if I have like a couple hours to... Like 4 hours, say for example, to bang out a series, then in like a day, then I will just sit down for 4 hours, play out that whole series, then go back and then look at edit out some bits that I need to, and just sort of cut it up into like half an hour segments. Nice little bite-sized pieces so you can all... watch your own time, because I think, and this is kind of my reinforcement behind the whole half an hour idea, is that it's a more easy watch, like, because you can, and even myself, I'm the same. I look at a video and think, good god, an hour, whew, that's a lot of time. But it's the same thing for me. I make hour videos because I'm kind of like in the back of my mind thinking, this is not enough content, let's make it an hour, but really, half an hour is enough. But I guess it depends. If I spend too much time talking, then the video will get longer, and then I have to sort of make up for the fact that I've spoken perhaps too long and not a lot's happened, I guess. But I guess we'll see. So yeah, that's the plan. I'm going to do those. I'm going to roll out those votes. There'll be 8 votes in total, and basically for each of the Total War campaigns and the CK2 and Mountain Blade and stuff, you'll have the 4 votes. Then you have another 4 votes, and the winners. So there'll be like 2 semi-finals between the winners of the first... Well, the first votes, yes. The first 4 vote will have a winner, and then the next 4 votes will have then another semi-finals. And eventually... this is getting confusing. But eventually, you'll have a final between the winner of the first 4 votes and the winner of the next 4 votes. And then those 2 options will fight it out. Because I think that's a good way of doing it, especially for these sort of campaigns, because obviously the votes it's going to have quite a big effect, because obviously this will decide not just what campaign we're doing, but this will decide what like marathon campaign we're doing for quite a while. Now, of course, obviously I can take a break from particular, like if I'm doing a US thing, I'm like, I don't know, maybe I do the Empire Total War thing, and before I do the Civil War one, I'm like, oh god, maybe I'll do something a bit different for a bit and then come back to that. But my fear with like marathons and not like taking a break from them is that sometimes I might not come back to them. It's a horrible habit I have, but I'm going to try not to do that. Because again, I want my campaigns, I want my series going forward now to always have a good starting, a good ending, and not fall apart. Basically, is my plan. And this is how it's going to work. This is basically the make or die for the channel. This is lit. This is it. This is like the sort of last big push that I'm going to make my videos and stuff like that going forward. Obviously, I will do other stuff, but like going forward, this is the last big sort of the push that I'm going to do for YouTube now. And obviously, if the channel still goes nowhere for however many years, then perhaps maybe one day I might decide to possibly put my effort into something else. But this channel, I've been for a lot with this channel. 10 years of my life I've spent on this channel. I'm not really ready to surrender it just yet. I'm going to continue going, continue fighting, and do my best. And hopefully things will work out. But I guess we'll see in 10 years from now. I think, I think 10 years from now, I think it's probably a good enough goal to say, hopefully we might get to 10,000 by then. But again, who knows? I'll just continue to keep doing the stuff that I enjoy doing, have fun, and eventually things will speak for itself. But yeah, so I'm going through, and I'm not of these sort of polls and options you'll see are stuff that's inspired from stuff that I may have done, perhaps series that I planned to do but never did, or stuff that's been suggested to me, stuff that's been polled or voted for, stuff that I plan to remaster. So a lot of the older stuff, you can expect me to do that eventually, but it all will be part of this marathon series. So Total War, obviously, if I use the historical one, like say for example, but I've done that already actually. Let's use a fantasy one. So let's use the dwarfs from not dwarfs. What's easy to explain? The Chronicles of the Faithful Numenorians. Again, this is just a makeshift title. The Faithful Numenorians could literally be from, from sort of the Last Alliance Total War mod as the Kingdom of Numenor, and then maybe the Numenorian Kingdoms in DCO Last Alliance, then the Dunedain, so you got the Reunited Kingdom, Gondor, Diamroth, and we'll play as them one at a time. And then eventually it would end then sometime with the Reunited Kingdom for like the 4th Age Total War, provided everything works and everything. And then that's sort of my plan. And maybe the odd sort of other Dunedain or Faithful Numenorian things, maybe some other mods and sub-mods have like different things and maps we explore that. But it does mean if that won the vote, you would have quite a few interesting campaigns. The Numenorian Kingdoms is something that's been voted for. Gondor, I think it's been suggested and voted for. In the past, Diamroth, I think people have asked for. The Reunited Kingdom is a big one. I know a lot of people. I think that when I did the Reunited Kingdom vote, I think that received the most votes from any pod I've ever done. I think 300 votes, I think it was. So that's a big one. So yeah, you get the Reunited Kingdom, you get the Reunited Kingdom in the 4th Age Total War, which is good fun. We get to have a look at the Last Alliance Total War mod, and it's a nice little way to. And maybe some of the colony states you can play in that as well, in the Last Alliance Total War. But it's a nice way to bring you all those campaigns. Let me use the example of the Crusader Kings 2 stuff. So what's my plan for that? And this is partly why I'm doing CK2 and not CK3. And CK2 basically is literally because there's more scenarios, more start dates and stuff for me to do. We use Targaryen as an example. So, for example, we play as the Targaryen dynasty. We'll start with Aegon the Conqueror. Now, of course, I could go back even further and play as the Targaryens in Valyria. But again, in my testing, nothing happens. Which you might think is ironic, really, because, surely stuff must happen back then. But actually it doesn't. And it's just not really the most funnest of campaigns. Before I lose my voice, we'll carry on. So say, for example, the Targaryen dynasty, instead of just picking one character out of dozens of Targaryens, and we play as them and go on through their generation, and eventually to the point where nothing happens and we're too overpowered. And basically what we'll do is continue to, instead of doing it that way, which always has the inevitable end of the series getting to a point where, oh, we're too powerful, let's end it. Instead of that, what we're going to do is actually just play as the Targaryens, each character, and what we do is we do the dynasty where we play on for a certain amount of time as sort of one of the small end game characters. Like, for example, maybe Jon Targaryen, or Jon, whoever's side of that you want to believe. Jon Targaryen, Daenerys, or possibly even Aegon Targaryen the 6th of his name. If he is Aegon the 6th, who knows? We still don't know, because George has yet to finish his book. And I'm starting to wonder if he's going to do it either. Is he gonna? I don't know. Is he going to be alive by the time in fact, are we going to be alive by the time he finishes that book? At this rate, that's the plan. So we go from like Aegon the Conqueror all the way up until we get to like Daenerys or Jon or Aegon, probably all three, and we just play as all three of them at some point. No, that'd be like now. One of them I'll choose to continue that dynasty on. For a good couple, say 100 years, something like that, and see what happens. So basically it means we explore each scenario. So Aegon the Conqueror, the Dance of Dragons, you've got the Faith Militant Uprising earlier than that, you've got the Conquest of Dawn, Blackfire Rebellion, the multiple Blackfire Rebellions, the odd Greyjoy one that happened, I think, in the after spring start date, so during obviously Duncan Egg, which would be cool, and various other scenarios over the years. We can go through like Robert's Rebellion and eventually Clash of Kings with Daenerys, and then Aegon the Conqueror, Aegon the 6th invading, and then Jon Snow finding out his parentage and stuff like that and claiming the throne. If he was to do that, who knows? I imagine he would though, because why else would that be revealed if Jon doesn't claim the throne? Although apparently Season 8 of Game of Thrones will have you believe that Bran is to be king, which I think is just ridiculous. And even though I think George R. R. Martin has said that's going to happen, I think that is just rubbish. I think that is really stupid. But, George knows more about this than we do. It's his book, I guess, but you can't help but think, what's the point of him being the son of Rhaegar and Lyanna if he doesn't become king? It's just an odd thing there. But we continue on. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do more Targaryen Dynasty stuff. We're going to actually play as the different characters throughout the Targaryen Dynasty, and then we'll get to a point where we like players play on for a certain amount of years, maybe do a few artificial events, and until we eventually get to a point where that series is done. But I think that's a good way of doing it, and it doesn't have to be like one big Targaryen Dynasty series with hundreds of episodes. I could break it up into a couple episodes as well, with Jon as like a Jon Targaryen, like the different sort of dynasty and stuff like that. Really, it doesn't have to necessarily be Targaryen dynasty. Then we got to like part 500 and something. No. So that's the idea for that. For Second Student Total War, there's a few ideas in here. It's got a few like Mount and Blade stuff. Mount and Blade, obviously, that would have to be with the one-off series. I can't really do a marathon for that. It just, I don't think that would work as the same, but I mean, it's an option there too. Obviously, Heartsfire 4's one as well. That could be like a situation where we play as like, say, as United Kingdom, but we play maybe a few different, if there's a few different mods and stuff that has different scenarios, and then maybe we might mix up and play different ideologies. So we might play one where we have Britain as like historical Britain with democratic Britain, then we go maybe as like a fascist Britain, communist Britain, a bit like the current Labour government. No, I'm kidding. And maybe like an online one as well. So we do like 4 different like series, but then maybe we'll do like World War One mod for Hoi4, and maybe like a I don't know, well, a modern day one, I guess. Who knows? But yeah, then we come to other games. Before I lose my voice, let's just get this out. Other games, obviously, other games is just literally other games. So games that's not necessarily strategy related, like Total War, CK2, or Mount and Blade. It's just whatever the hell I want to do. So there'll be basically a couple marathon ideas for this. So let's just use a very basic one here, and just use the Red Dead Redemption marathon. So if we were to do that, we'll play as the Red Dead Redemption games from, well, I guess we'll probably let you vote for that, actually, to be honest. Do you want me to play it in release order or chronological order? So play release order, obviously, is Red Dead 1 first, and then chronological order is Red Dead 2 first, and then Red Dead 1 last, or vice versa for the other option. So that's it. But yes, I expect to have those polls run out probably around this video. You'll see the Minecraft one first, and then eventually you'll probably have the CK2 one that will pop out afterwards. I don't know how I'm gonna. I don't know if I'm gonna have it in one at a time or all together. I don't know. Probably one at a time. I think is the most logical of options. And then we have the other games will appear as well in the future. But yeah, I think that's it. I'm done. This video's gone way too long, but I suppose it's been a very long time since I've done a very long talking video. I can tell because my voice is starting to die. So I think it's coming to the end now, where my chair's starting to squeak as well. So it's coming to the end now where we're done. My chair's like, yeah, come on, get off me, you bastard, and go to bed. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the gameplay. Hopefully that should be literally roughly, I think that's pretty much all the gameplay used up, actually. So it's otherwise I might have to quickly record something just to make up the gameplay. But yeah, hopefully the video, it's going to take ages to render though, isn't it? Oh dear. Oh dear. In fact, I might have to even render this before I go to bed. The rendering's not too bad. It's the upload speed that takes bloody forever. But we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully, maybe it might not be as long, but just have to see how it goes. But anyway, that's all for now. I hope you've enjoyed. And thank you again for the 10-year anniversary. And thank you again, obviously, for supporting me all over these years. And subscribing to me, watching my videos, any sort of form of entertainment and sort of... I'm very grateful that you've spent... you've found some fun out of my channel, really, with all the different channels in the world. The fact that you've spent some time in mine is it means a lot to me, and I thank you all for it. It's great. It's crazy that it started when I was 14 and I'm now 24. 10 years have combined. I just thought that was crazy. It's crazy. It's just crazy is what it is. Madness. But hopefully in the future things will improve. I think if I get time, I'll do the odd special videos like installation guides, stuff like that again. But to be honest, I don't know how much time I'm going to have with all this new stuff, so we'll see. I will do my best to follow it. I'm not going to go. This is like all these options, all these like polls have options that have been suggested to me and voted for in the past and all this stuff. And basically, it's going to be this sort of choice you're going to have to decide what you want to see in the channel. But I hope you've enjoyed my commentary, and you've hoped you found the commentary and the gameplay entertaining and enjoyable, and it's not been too bad for you. In fact, I'm going to have a quick look actually, just briefly, just to see how long each of the footage is, because I'm starting to think, have I done enough footage? Ah, yeah, no, it's all good. So yeah, you would have definitely seen the Minecraft and the CK2 footage. Yeah, because it's about an hour and a half each, actually, that's fine. So you'll definitely see those. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed, and till we begin, dear friends, and obviously, I probably will see you again soon. Obviously, the Brazil series will be uploaded every Thursday, every Tuesday, I think now. So that'll continue, and after me, I might actually, hang on, I might adjust that, because this will go up on Monday the 3rd of November, so maybe the videos might, in fact, what I might do is push the Brazil series episode to the 5th of November, and have the DAC come on Friday the 7th, and then maybe Summit on Sundays, and then we'll figure it out. But anyway, I'll see you again, obviously, with the Brazil stuff. Obviously, it's old, like, campaigns, you know, footage that I recorded many years ago, so I can't really speak on current events. I probably will speak on events that happened about in 2021, but if you're interested, but, you know, a bit of a flashback. But for those watching, I'll see you in the next DAC video. I'm going to try and do a half an hour video. Good God. Because I think maybe the half an hour video will help the algorithm. And I say that, the last Brazil episode, which is also about 36 minutes, didn't really do much at all. But I don't know, I guess we'll see. We're very much a transitionary period. We're phasing out the older campaigns, and we're bringing you the new stuff. I'm very excited to start off this United States Chronicles. For a lot of my American viewers, who I guess are the most of you watching, funny enough, not you. You know, I guess you must love the British accent, but there's a lot of American viewers watching. I think it's a good way to give back to those American viewers and give you a good United States campaign. Actually, in fact, a good set of United States campaigns, going from, well, starting with New England for the Americas DLC, and then going through the United States and the Road to Independence campaign throughout Empire Total War, and then eventually going on and on until we reach the final, obviously American Civil War and all that stuff, and then eventually the World War II mod, as well as the Victorian era mod for Steam and Still, which would be nice to check out. Whether or not there will be other, I mean, I'll mention this more in the prologue episode for the actual Chronicles Marathon series. Bit of a mouthful, I'll shorten that somehow. I'll mention it there, where I mentioned in a bit more detail about the video. But obviously, if there's any other mods and stuff that releases that contain the United States and is worth a sort of playthrough, I will do. Obviously, I'd like to keep those particular series in a chronological order, especially when I can. When you're going through the history of a nation, it kind of, you know, has to be in chronological order. But I suppose if something appears that is kind of like, say for example, we've got to the American Civil War and we've started the campaign on that, and I've noticed there's like a United States like a mod that's come out for like something to do like the War of 1812, for example, then maybe I'll cover that afterwards, and we would just sort of like, you know, we would just sort of go back and even if we go through the whole thing, the whole marathon, we complete it, and then suddenly a United States thing appears. I don't know, maybe Victorian, or maybe some sort of Total War thing that appears, or mod that appears, that means we can go back. Then perhaps we can always go back. It doesn't have to be an entirely chronological order. It can be a series we can go back to. It's not the end of the world. But either way, if you made it to the end, then oh my god, you deserve a medal and a bit of my birthday cake. But anyway, I thank you very much for watching, and I thank you for the support you've given me over the last 10 years. Again, it means everything, and I am very grateful for you. Despite maybe perhaps I would have wanted a lot more subscribers by then, but who knows, we get what we get, and we have to be grateful for it. And either way, I'm still grateful. I'm very happy with what we've got. I'm very happy that, you know, despite everything, you've managed to find my channel as a nice little haven for you all, and have enjoyed it. But anyway, thank you again for the 10-year anniversary. I will now enjoy my 10-year anniversary, well, technically, I will enjoy my 10-year anniversary on the actual 10-year anniversary date, but obviously when you're watching this, it will be the 3rd of November. So again, thank you. Hopefully this doesn't take a bajillion years to render. I guess if it does, then you might be seeing this video slightly late, but hopefully not. I'm going to go to bed, and we'll render this tomorrow, and then we'll render this sometime tomorrow when I can fit in the time, and then we'll upload it. Hopefully on the 3rd of November. In fact, I might just render it tonight and just be done with it, and then I can upload it And if it takes a while to upload, it takes a while to upload. I guess we'll just see how it goes. But anyway, thank you for watching, and until we speak again, dear friends, na vayan na den, Palamat Manin, and farewell.